Good morning, race fans. Chris here with Jaeger Fantasy Sports to bring you another DFS NASCAR live show. This week, NASCAR heads to Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Autotrader 400. It's actually not Atlanta Motor Speedway anymore. It's EchoPark Speedway. Either way, we're going to talk some Atlanta racing. We've got some new stuff on the cheat sheet we're going to discuss this week. We'll go over that here shortly. And if you got any questions, make sure to add them in the chat. And if you're not a member and you're looking to sign up, you're looking to grab content for trucks, I'm going to call it Xfinity, so O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, as well as the Cup Series. We currently have a limited time offer, $5 for the first month, get you not only the NASCAR content, but it's going to get you all of our content. Currently, we've got PGA, NHL, NBA, college sports, all three series of NASCAR, like I said. About 10 sports right now going on. UFC, we got in there as well. So make sure to grab that, and I will throw up the link here in chat right now. That'll take you over to patreon.com/Jagerbombs. Choose that all sports package and then use code Jaeger5. I will put that up in there as well. Try and get the show over so we can watch that third period of the Canada-US game. Anyone watching that? Pretty good game so far. 1-1 going into the third. But yeah, back to NASCAR here. So we're going to look at the cheat sheet, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here. So the first thing that is new, Dane's been working on some projections. Definitely a work in progress here. There's some that I agree with. There's some that I don't agree with. Some things that we're going to be tweaking over time to get these projections a little bit better. But we are working on our own projection system, and you'll see that to the left of the driver info here. It's not on the main sheet yet. I've just got it on this sheet for purposes of the show here. So that will be going up on the sheet once this show is over. I will throw those over. The other thing that's new just this week I've been working on, I don't know, it's a lot of manual work, so I don't know how much until I get it automated, how much I'm going to have it up on the sheet. But I started looking at optimal lineups. So we looked at all the Atlanta races since it converted to a hybrid super speedway, we'll call it. And I looked at the top three optimal lineups for DraftKings for all 8 of those races. So you can go ahead and look at that as well. We'll break some of that down during the show here as well to kind of go over some of the top plays, why they stand out, some lineups. And the big thing for me in doing that was to really break down and look at because we've got 6 super speedway races each year now. We've got Talladega and Daytona, and then we've now got Atlanta, which is a little bit more of a hybrid super speedway track. And I wanted to kind of break out and see what the difference is between that Atlanta or between Daytona, Talladega, because for the most part we have been stacking the back at those races almost every single time. Maybe reaching up and doing some GPP plays of guys that start 15th to 20th type thing. Atlanta has been a little bit different, and we're just going to go over and we're going to look at that optimal lineup history here. So just last year's race, the second race at Atlanta, we had 2 drivers who started top 10 in the optimal lineup, one in the second optimal and one in the third. Now, the reason they got there is because there has been laps led. So one little bit of difference here at Atlanta versus the Daytona and Talladega. The track's shorter, obviously. It is a mile and a half track, so that's why we call it a hybrid super speedway. We are going to see some lap leaders. Now, it's going to be tough to kind of project who's going to be those guys that are going to be the lap leaders because there's no practice. They just do the qualifying run and then they go. So to be able to predict those is a little bit tough in predicting who's going to lead those laps led. But I just wanted to kind of show you how these go in terms of the optimal lineups at Atlanta versus normally what we see at DraftKings, which is almost all the time. We're never looking at anyone starting inside the top 10, whereas Atlanta, we can kind of do that. If you feel like a guy's going to be a little bit more dominant, he's going to get in there, he's going to lead some laps, you're going to want to get him in there. And I will talk about a driver who I think could possibly do that here shortly. We go to the first race in Atlanta last year. It was a place differential beast. As you can tell here, 4 of the drivers in the optimal lineup started outside of 30th. Another one started in 26th, and then Kyle Larson started in 17th in that optimal lineup. Not really a lot of laps led dominator type stuff in that first race. Looking at the 2024 data, we're seeing a lot of the same trends that we've seen in 2026, or sorry, 2025 in the second race. We had 2 drivers that started top 10. Obviously, Austin Cindric, he led 92 laps in that race. He lost 5 place differential points and was still in that optimal lineup, obviously leading 92 laps. Joey Logano won from seventh. He only picked up sixth place differential, 9 laps led, but he made the optimal lineup in there as well. First race in 2024, very similar. We saw two drivers that started top 10. We had no drivers outside of 30th that got into that optimal lineup. So just a little bit of differences there that we can see in terms of lineup builds being a little bit different than Talladega and Daytona. We can't just, it kind of, for me, what it does, it is opens up the field, the player pool a little bit because we're not just looking at drivers starting 20th and beyond. Um, and normally, like in Daytona, Talladega, I'm not looking at any drivers that are starting top 10. Whereas I will maybe for GPP lineups, if I'm building 20 lineups, I'm going to look at some drivers starting top 10 who I think possibly can get out front. Whether that be good drafting drivers, guys who've been good here in the past, had led laps. So at the top of the salary this week, um, which qualifying was rained out, so it goes reverse order, I believe, of last race in terms of that metric. So we got Ryan Blaney started in 22nd. Love that play, and that's one that I don't agree with the projections very much. Like the guys that are highest in the projections right now, we've got Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin makes a lot of sense. They're starting near the back. We've got Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe starting near the back. We scroll down, we look at Connor Zilic, Austin Dillon starting near the back. Ty Gibbs, 25th in there. Todd Gilliland's probably a little bit low at 24.8, being that he's starting at the back. SVG up there starting 28th. Not sure I completely agree with that based on him not having the greatest history here at Atlanta. But one that I really don't agree with right off the bat here is Ryan Blaney, starting 22nd. He can pick up 20, he can win the race, pick up 20, 21, 20 plus place differential points here. He has been dynamite outside of that crash in the second race here in Atlanta last year. He's got 3 top 5s in a row and 6 straight top 10s here at this track. He's been absolutely phenomenal here at Atlanta. So he's a driver that I think he's number one in my overall model. Looking at, we'll slide over and look at the model. We got place differential. We got 30% on that this week. We got 20% on the last two races in Atlanta. So, and then we've got 10% on DK, 15 on overall track history here in Atlanta, 20% on the super speedway metric, and then 5 just on the history so far this season. So Ryan Blaney's right up there as number one for me. Um, I think Joey Logano is probably going to be a little bit lower on, being that he's starting second, but he is one of those drivers that I think can be one of the lap leaders and make the optimal lineup should he win the race and only pick up, one place differential point there. He's led 134 laps over the last two races and 333 laps, by far the most of any driver since Atlanta turned into this hybrid super speedway. So that might be a nice GPP pivot probably a little bit more on FanDuel where that place differential is worth half as much. But again, other drivers that are going to be high in the model, high in my player pool this week: Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin. Bell has won here. He's got 3 top 5s in the 8 races as well. We've got 3 drivers with multiple wins: Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, William Byron. Byron started 13th. I think makes a nice GPP play. I don't think he's going to be too high on his history here. He's got 2 wins, obviously, but lately it just hasn't been as good. So people may ignore that and just head down to Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin for their lineup builds. Sorry for my nose, everyone. I've been sick the last couple days, so a little bit plugged up. Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe, we talked about. I think both of them make decent plays. I like Cindric probably a little bit better. He's had a little bit more success here, as you can see, from 2022, the second race, all the way up to 2024, the second race. Um, whereas Briscoe's struggled here. No top 15 finishes in the 8 races for him. Ross Chastain started 21st. I like he's done quite well here. He's got 4 top 10s, 6 top 20s, and 2 top 5s, although that was way back in 2022. But I think he's got the upside. He showed some excellent racing yesterday in the, or was that sort of get the truck race and the O'Reilly Auto Parts race mixed up because they were both excellent races yesterday. Hochaver pushed Kyle Busch to the win in the truck race, and then the O'Reilly Auto Parts race was excellent finish last night. It looked like Austin Hill was coming from the back there. It looked like he was going to win. He kind of got sideways, saved it a little bit, which was an awesome move. But then we seen Sheldon Creed pop through, get his first O'Reilly Auto Parts win. I think he's had 15 runner-up finishes, so that was absolutely excellent to see. Some great racing here at Atlanta. Um, so I'm hoping for the same here with the Cup race. But yeah, back to Ross Chastain. I'm going to be having some exposure to him starting 21st. Hochevar right below him because not only has he been good in other series, I think he's kind of maturing even a little bit as a driver, and becoming good on these super speedways. Like he even said in his interview, he knew he wasn't going to win, so he was there for the team. So there's that team aspect going on, pushing Kyle Busch to the win. So that was really nice to hear from him and also see. Yeah, doesn't hurt that he's got 19th, 16th in 2024, and then back-to-back top tens here at Atlanta last year. So him starting 15th, I like be including him in my lineups there as well. Who are you guys on? Who would be your like say top three drivers that you're liking today? Because of the no qualifying, we do see a lot of those place differential plays, and I think they're going to be super high owned. Are you pivoting? Are you fitting guys inside the top 10 in your lineups? I'm probably still only fitting, if any. If I'm playing 10 lineups, I'm probably only going to have two lineups, maybe three, where I have a guy started inside the top 10. I'm probably going to have none that are going to have multiple guys started inside the top 10. But when we start getting outside that top 10, looking at say even 12th and beyond, I'm probably going to have multiple drivers in there just to kind of differentiate a little bit because the lineup builds become quite easy if you're just building off place differential. Because there's guys like Alex Bowman down here at 7,300. He started 36. He's got top fives in two of his last three here in this race at Atlanta. We've got Connor Zilic, who the projection system really loves. He started 31st. He was 11th in his only race here. So there's going to be a lot of guys on him. Austin Dillon started 33rd. He hasn't finished worse than 22nd since that first year that it became a super speedway back in 2022. So I think there's going to be guys on him. Todd Gilliland, 35th. So it's not going to be hard to build lineups today. So that kind of has me pivoting a little bit off of the Christopher Bells and Denny Hamlins into the Kyle Larson, William Byron, like I said, Joey Logano. If you're looking for a guy that's maybe going to dominate the race, and maybe lead that 50 plus laps and make it into the optimal lineup, like we have seen over here in the past, like last year, three of the last four races at Atlanta have seen two drivers in the optimal lineup start top 10 because of that lap lead factor. So um, definitely going to want to consider that as well. But if you like, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. If you think that Chris Buescher is going to get up there, win the race, and probably lead 30, 40 laps, he's going to be in the optimal lineup most likely. So get it. It's not probably for me. I'll probably go Kyle Busch starting 14th. That's kind of like where I'm stretching it to in terms of being a little bit more contrarian is less guys maybe because I mean we've seen different results here at Atlanta where there's been four or five guys started outside of 30th make the optimal lineup, and like I just said, we've seen multiple races where two multiple drivers have started top 10 and made that optimal lineup. So I think that makes for really nice lineup build, and I think that's going to spread things out a little bit. But for the most part, I think your non-seasoned veteran DFS players who are maybe just kind of jumping in, maybe just this season, all they're here to stack the back with these super speedway races. I think we can possibly take advantage of that, at least from a lineup build beforehand. I mean, anything can happen once the race starts, but beforehand, I think we can maybe gain a little bit of an advantage by getting those guys that are starting, 12th to 18th, 12th to 20th, um, loading up on maybe three of those guys type thing. So that's the way I'm going there. Is there any questions? Throw them up in chat here. Probably gonna go about another 5-10 minutes here. I wanted to go over a little bit of the track history. Um, the playbook. Once the race is over, I'm going to complete my rankings, top five drivers in each tier, the 9K up, the 7,500 to 89. We've got the value guys. I'm going to have a FanDuel core, DK core, and in terms of betting outrights, I do like Blaney at plus 850. I believe we have four drivers at plus 853. We got Blaney, Elliott, and Logano. Blaney and Logano are very close for me. I do feel that Ryan Blaney is due here at Atlanta, so that's kind of where my top outright's going. Austin Cindric plus 1,400 and Ross Chastain plus 1,800 so far. I'm probably going to look at some top fives, top tens in there as well, but that will all be posted once we get the show completed, and I get to finalizing all the picks, rankings, bets, and FanDuel and DraftKings scores. Morning, Liz. Bob says, if entering five lineups, how many of the same drivers do you have? Two, three, four. Do you use two, three, four? Should you mix up the five lineups? Yeah, I mix up the five lineups for sure. Especially this is a high variance race. If we're talking, say, like a Kansas or maybe a Las Vegas or Phoenix, Martinsville, tracks like that, where we've got practice data, we kind of have a feeling that one guy's going to dominate. Let all the practices, let all the 5, 10, 15 lap averages. I'm probably going to have him in four of my five lineups if I'm building five. The fact that we are building lineups around high variance, although this I would say is a little bit less variance, but still we're going to have some wrecks. It's going to clear out four, five, six drivers at a time. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket when it comes to this race, even though it is a little bit different than the Daytona Talladegas. So if there's a driver that I really really like, I've already mentioned him, Ryan Blaney. If I'm building five lineups, I'm probably going to have him in two, three max, two for sure, three max. He's my favorite driver. I'm not going to have him with another driver in all two or three of those lineups as well. I'm going to mix that around. Um, because if I'm going Ryan Blaney, one, I might mix him with Joey Logano, just top two guys, and just see that would be very contrarian, I believe, with Logano started second. But he's, like I said, he's a driver who's led a ton of laps here at Atlanta since it's turned into a super speedway. And I think those two can kind of, it's probably going to take some time for Blaney to get up there, but I think those two can run together and do some damage here today. Austin Cindric in that number two Ford as well. I think that could make a lot of sense, stacking all three of them in a lineup. But yeah, to answer your question, Bob, I'm not going, pick your favorite driver of this race for DFS, and I'm not going to go more than three lineups in there. That would be my max, is having him in three. I mean, once we get to, like I said, those other tracks where we've got some practice data and stuff, I might be up to four. I might even just go all in on a driver in a five max, if my feeling is very strong coming off practice qualifying, that sort of thing, track history, track type history. So I do like mixing it up a little bit and kind of playing with that variance that we see here at these super speedways with this pack racing and this drafting style. All right, still 1-1 in the hockey game, people. Under 10 minutes. Pretty stressful here, so that's what I'm looking up at is my other TV. But any other questions going on with the race here in terms of plays? I talked about a few that I liked: Connor Zilic, Austin Dillon, Todd Gilliland. Obvious plays down here, starting outside of top 30. Ty Gibbs could be a little bit less owned in that group, starting 25th. He's had four top 20s in six races here. And if we just go look at the fantasy matrix at Ty Gibbs and see like what a top 20 finish is going to get him around 28 points, not going to quite be enough getting inside the top 20 for him. We're going to be looking for like at least that 33, 15th to 18th. And if he gets anything better than that 15, he's going to be in that that 6 to 7x range. So definitely like that. I think it's going to be good. He's going to be a good value there. Eric Jones, very up and down in terms of his results here. He's had some outside top 25s, but he's also had some top 10s, some top fives here. So I think as a lower owned pivot, he makes sense starting 23rd. Not a lot of exposure to these guys down below. Maybe AJ Allmendinger started 19th. He's finished better than that, 16th or better in all four of his races here at oh, so close. Yeah, Hellebuck is on his game today. Anyways, back to the dinger here. Started 19th, 16th or better in all four finishes, 14th and 12th in his two races here in 2025. Another guy who I think makes a nice pivot off of some of these guys starting outside of 30th who are going to be very high owned place differential plays. So he makes a lot of sense here for me as well. I don't think I'm going to go down to Cole Custer. I don't think you really have to get too far down into this 5K range when building just because of all the other mid-tier values and stuff like that. So if running 150 lines, would you put a Dominator in them? Yeah, I'd put a Dominator in there. One of your five. If you're just running five lineups, I would throw a Dominator in there. And one, like I said, Joey Logano. him start in second, I would put him in one of the lineups if you're playing five max. I'm probably not going to go more than one lineup at five max, but I mean, if you're doing 150 lineups for sure, I'm going to have quite a few lineups that are going to have potential dominators. I might even try and fit two in there and get two guys that lead laps. But like I said, it's kind of hard to project those guys that are going to lead laps in these races where there's no practice speeds. Um, so I'd probably only do one. I mean, if it's 150, you could probably do two. And if you say 20 lineups, maybe throw two guys that you think are going to dominate. If those two guys do lead 40 plus laps and finish inside the top three, inside the top five, even, they're probably going to be in the optimal lineup like we've seen in the past. Multiple guys in the optimal starting inside the top 10 and leading laps. So it's just tough to predict. Um, I do like Logano more than Reddick in terms of that, just because Logano has done it in the past. So yes, Bob, definitely some dominators in there for sure. All right, we are going to wrap things up here. Like I said, after the show is over, I'm going to complete the playbook here with all my rankings in each tier, as well as my cores and uh, and the final bets that I have added on there. And if you're not a member, you're looking to get a copy of this cheat sheet, the truck sheet, O'Reilly sheet, and Cup Sheet are all included underneath the NASCAR package, but for a limited time, for just $5 for the first month, you can get access to not only all three of those NASCAR sheets, but all our entire all sports package, which is around 10 sports right now, just for $5 for that first month. And you head over to patreon.com/Jagerbombs and use code Jaeger5. And I included that in the chat. You can also find that information in the below in the description. You'll find that there as well. Come join our winning team. Like I said, for anyone that is just kind of joining late, maybe just seeing this late, we are working on a projection system here for our cheat sheet as well. And then I'm working on automating some optimal lineup history going back probably to 2022 with the new car. So thanks for tuning in and good luck this week, everyone.